It's like someone once said, it's like being a mosquito at a nudist colony. You don't know where to start. I mean, we're not going to be in the air long enough for me to dissect all the falsehoods that this woman has put into those few words.
Give us
Uh,
one.
oh, okay, the jobs that you can raise a family on, the new jobs that are being created are disproportionately very low income jobs. So,
Welcome back, warriors. It's me, Linda B. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you another Thomas Sowell video. He is talking about former First Lady Michelle Obama. We're going to see what he has to say. He has some very poignant words to say about her. But before we get into it, I want you all to remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, watch the video all the way to the very end. And don't forget to also follow me on Rumble at ChatWithMeLindaB, all one word. And you can email me at chatwithmelindaB@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, let's get into it.
What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. It does matter, Michelle, who we select. And always pay attention to what happens when a particular administration is in office. Look at what is going on in your life. How are the gas prices? How are the food prices? How are the interest rates? How's the border? Is it secure? Is the southern border secure? How is crime? Always pay attention with what they do, not just what they say.
When it comes to rebuilding our economy, Barack is thinking about folks like my dad and like his grandmother. He's thinking about the pride that comes from a hard day's work. That's why he signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act to help women get equal pay for equal work. That's why he cut taxes for working families and small businesses and fought to get the auto industry back on its feet. That's how he brought our economy from the brink of collapse to creating jobs again, jobs you can raise a family on, good jobs, right here in the United States of America.
I only laughed a moment ago is because I was looking at the reaction of Thomas Sowell, Dr. Sowell. He just rolled his eyes like he was like, yeah, right. Oh wow, that face he gave. You guys may need to rewind and go back and watch it again.
Back in college, I was one of the few Black students on my campus, and I was proud of getting into such a respected school. I knew I'd worked hard for it, but still, I sometimes wondered if people thought I got there because of affirmative action. It was a shadow that students like me couldn't shake, whether those doubts came from the outside or inside our own minds. But the fact is this, I belonged. And semester after semester, decade after decade, for more than half a century, countless students like me showed they belonged too. It wasn't just the kids of color who benefited either. Every student who heard a perspective they might not have encountered, who had an assumption challenged, who had their minds and their hearts opened, gained a lot as well. It wasn't perfect, but there's no doubt that it helped offer new ladders of opportunity for those who throughout history have too often been denied a chance to show how fast they can climb. Of course, students on my campus and countless others across the country were and continue to be granted special consideration for admissions. Some have parents who graduated from the same school. Others have families who can afford coaches to help them run faster or hit a ball harder. Others go to high schools with lavish resources for tutors and extensive standardized test prep that helps them score higher on college entrance exams. We don't usually question if those students belong. So often we just accept that money, power, and privilege are perfectly justifiable forms of affirmative action, while kids growing up like I did are expected to compete when the ground is anything but level. So today my heart breaks for any young person out there who's wondering what their future holds and what kind of chances will be open to them. And while I know the strength and grit that lies inside kids who have always had to sweat a little more to climb the same ladders, I hope and I pray that the rest of us are willing to sweat a little too. Today is a reminder that we've got to do the work, not just to enact policies that reflect our values of equity and fairness, but to truly make those values real in all of our schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods.
Things I notice about the left, and I've said this numerous times, is the focus is just too much on race. Everything is about race. Everything. And they give these beautiful speeches like what Michelle Obama just said about her wondering if she belonged, and other families were able to afford tutors, and me but wondering if I belonged, if the ground is anything but level, and my heart breaks. And they give these beautiful violin speeches, but at the end of the day, it's a way that they're focusing everything on race. And when you do that, a lot of times you make people go against each other. And it's on purpose, I believe, when it comes from the left. I do believe it is, of course, it's on purpose. And that's what I just don't like about liberal thinking. It's always about race, every single time. And sometimes it's not that. And Dr. Thomas Sowell has the data on that. Is other factors that come into play. It's really not race.
First Lady Michelle Obama. She begins by describing her father and Barack Obama's grandmother as decent people, hardworking people who sacrificed for her families. And then she says this.
So when it comes to rebuilding our economy, Barack is thinking about folks like my dad and like his grandmother. He's thinking about the pride that comes from a hard day's work. That's why he signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, to help women get equal pay for equal work.
Did you see him roll his eyes up in the back of his head? Dr. Thomas Sowell, stop.
That's why he cut taxes for working families and small businesses and fought to get the auto industry back on its feet. That's how he brought our economy from the brink of collapse to creating jobs again, jobs you can raise a family on, good jobs, right here in the United States of America.
President Obama is giving us, quote, jobs you can raise a family on. Tom?
It's like someone once said, it's like being a mosquito at a nudist colony. You don't know where to start. I mean, we're not going to be in the air long enough for me to dissect all the falsehoods that this woman has put into those few words.
Give us one.
Oh, okay. The jobs that you can raise a family on, the new jobs that are being created are disproportionately very low income jobs. So I don't know how you're going to be raising a family on minimum wage type jobs or flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. The other thing is that what is implicit in all of this is that the economy has no recuperative powers of its own, that all the benefits, all whatever recovery there have been, has been due to Barack Obama.
It's like the scene of Genesis where he's breathing life into the clay of the economy.
That's it. Now, anyone who studied history knows that for the first 150 years of this country, the federal government did not intervene when the economy turned down. And all that time, the downturns all corrected themselves. One of the most classic examples was on the Warren G. Harding. When his first year in office, he found the unemployment rate at 11.7%. He did absolutely nothing. And he did not spend more government money. He cut back government spending. The Federal Reserve had the interest rates up at 6 or 7%, not down at 1% where they are now. The next year, unemployment was at 6.7%. The year after that, it was 2.4%. So the economy has recuperative powers. I mean, employers have an incentive to hire people. Workers have an incentive to get jobs. Lenders have incentives to lend. They don't need somebody in Washington trying to micromanage all of this.
Your argument is not only weak form of the argument. We don't need Barack Obama to breathe life into the economy because it'll recover on its own sooner or later.
If Barack Obama stays out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. The strong form of the argument is Barack Obama's actually been holding it down.
No question. I mean, there's never been a recovery other than that of the Great Depression of the 1930s that took so long. Under Ronald Reagan, in the early years got up to 9.7% annual unemployment. He did absolutely nothing. The media went crazy. The unemployment came down, and it kept right on coming down.
Right. All right.
Give me your comments below. Let me know how you felt about Barack Hussein Obama, how he did as the president. I couldn't see it at the time. I know I'm getting off. They're talking about the economy right now, but I want your opinion on how Barack Hussein Obama did overall. Did he do a good job keeping us unified, which I'm pretty sure conservative people will say no. I couldn't see it at the time. I didn't vote for him, but at the same time, I couldn't see him being divisive. But of course, I wouldn't watch him because I couldn't stand him. I did not vote for him. I felt like God was saying, don't vote for him. So I could not watch him speak. I would just change the channel. I did. So I couldn't really see what everybody else was watching because I wouldn't watch the man. So you let me know what he did. That I did get a whiff of, some of the comments he made about Trayvon Martin. If he had a son like Trayvon Martin, if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. That's what he said. The whole Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman event or incident that took place, and some other things that he did. And I remember people getting upset on the conservative side when Michelle Obama said this was the first time she was proud of her country. And that got some people's feathers really ruffled. They were like, what do you mean the first time? And so, yeah, there were, I get it. When you're already on one side, you don't like the people on the other side. And I try not to be that way. I really, really try not to be that way. And not everybody catches those little nuances. I didn't catch them. I was like, yeah, so what, she said that. But as time passed, I began to see what everyone was talking about. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there was like a lot of emphasis on, I don't know, race at that time. You had the rise of BLM and a lot was going on. And one of the things I noticed that is whatever is going on with the administration at the time, the presidential administration, whether it's Bush, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump or Biden, whatever is going on with that administration, it carries and trickles down. Those particular things have a tendency to keep popping up. People kept saying Barack Obama was very divisive. Well, we had a lot of division with all the white police officers being reported as accidentally shooting or shooting unarmed Black people. It was during Barack Obama's presidency mostly, for some reason. And it's been said that the Democrats control the media. So, and that was under Barack Hussein Obama's presidency. I noticed that with Biden's presidency, he's been rumored to have an issue with liking much younger people. It starts with the letter P. Can't say that word, but and I noticed that with all these other laws coming up, and that word or that orientation has come up. It really has come up, and it's under the Biden administration. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? I mean, I'm looking around like, and it's also been said about Barack Obama, about his orientation. I don't want to get into rumors, but you got to admit, with the alphabet community and with the same-sex marriage and things like that, that was done under his administration. So again, whatever's going on with that particular president, it seems to make its way in the laws. Because now we've got children that are being allowed to have changes done to their bodies without their parental consent under the Biden administration. So, yeah, there is, and a lot of you believe that, Biden is a continuation of the Obama presidency anyway. But anyway, let's get back to video.
Right. So, common sense, use your head. One common sense question is, what went wrong? How did we get into this mess in the first place? And Bill Clinton, once again at the Democratic National Convention, explained the answer.
Yes.
In Tampa, the Republican argument against the president re-election was actually pretty simple, pretty snappy. It went something like this. We left him a total mess. He hadn't cleaned it up fast enough, so fire him and put us back in.
The Republicans created the mess.
This shows that Clinton is truly a masterful politician. And to be a masterful politician, you have to have a lot of brass. And it takes an incredible amount of brass for Bill Clinton, who was the biggest factor in creating the housing boom that led to the bust that brought down the whole economy. It was during the Clinton administration that the federal government forced lenders to change their lending standards, which had been in place for decades and had made real estate one of the safest investments around. Bring those standards down in order that they can get the numbers that they want for low income, minority, etc. Mortgage applicants.
Barney Frank, the ranking Democrat on the House committee that oversaw Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, said, quote, "I'm willing to roll the dice on Freddie and Fannie," meaning
he'd be willing to take the chance that the standards were being brought down too low. More than that, Attorney General Janet Reed under Clinton threatened lenders with legal action from the Justice Department if their numbers in terms of groups and income levels of people who were approved didn't fit her preconceptions. HUD under Clinton made lawsuits against lenders, charging them with racial discrimination based solely upon statistics.
So Tom, give me for the layman a 3-sentence summary, a soundbite kind of summary of what caused the mess we're in. It was not a failure of the market. It was a failure of
the government forcing people to lower the lending standards that had existed for years. And they said, well, the problem was blamed on greed. You don't satisfy greed by lending to people who can't pay you back.
All right.
So true. I remember that housing crash in 2008. Lenders were approving people for mortgage loans that they simply could not afford, and those houses had to go up for foreclosure. Yeah, you don't help anything by giving a loan to someone who can't afford to pay it back. So I definitely remember that.
You insist once again that if we base this election on the facts, the Obama administration would be, quote, doomed. But listen to President Obama himself, last clip from the Democratic National Convention.
If you believe that new plants and factories can dot our landscape, that new energy can power our future, that new schools can provide ladders of opportunity to this nation of dreamers, if you believe in a country where everyone gets a fair shot and everyone does their fair share and everyone plays by the same rules, then I need you to vote this November.
All right. New plants and factories, new energy, new schools, and a fair shot. What's wrong with that?
I wonder if the fair shot includes the taxpayers.
Well, that's it for the video right there. But I wanted to comment and just say that Dr. Thomas Sowell has so much knowledge and so much life that he's lived that he really does make a lot of sense. And he's followed the data. He's followed everything. And looking back now, of course, I didn't pay attention to a lot of things, but looking back now, based on what he said, hindsight is 2020. I really can see what he means. But you all let me know in the comments how you feel about Michelle Obama. And just to bring up something that I did another video on in the past, that do you believe that the Democrats are going to choose another candidate other than Jim Crow Joe? So do you think it's going to be Jim Crow Joe? Because a lot of people don't even believe that he could stand up to a debate against Trump. Or do you feel like it's going to be, the Trojan horse? Is Michelle Obama that Trojan horse? We haven't heard anything from her about it, not a whole lot, but she seems to be very afraid of this upcoming election. So I don't know if she's just pretending like nothing's going to happen or she isn't really running. There's been a lot of talk about her. I have done a couple of videos on that. You all tell me what you think. I got a little nervous hearing about her possibly running. Yes, because I feel like she would get, again, people who are skin sensitive, black. Ooh, it's a black person. I'm going to vote for them. And not paying attention to anything else. Not realizing, Democrats use black mascots a lot and don't get anything done. And black Democrat politicians are the worst because that's the one who the Democrats happen to use to do their dirty work. Not that black politicians are really worse, but that's just how the Democrats do. They get black people to do the dirt. I mean, you've got all these Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, on and on and on, and the corruption just continues to go that way. And people think it's the individual. It's both the individual, maybe a little, but it's mostly the party, in my opinion. Yes, it's the party, because that's how the Democratic Party rolls. That's how they roll. So we as people have to look beyond what a person looks like. Get out of this way of thinking. Okay? You all let me know your comments. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me. And as I always say, march on, warriors.